My video for September the 13th, 2019 is video number 3206, and the title is War is the Business of Barbarians. And that's a quote. I'll bet you not many of you will guess correctly who said that. I was shocked myself. Now I'm going to read the blurb. Supposedly, it was Napoleon Bonaparte who said that. I certainly got a chuckle when I read that, since he was the military leader during the French Revolution, Revolutionary Wars. He also became Emperor of France, waging wars all over Europe, even in Russia. Of course, he was finally defeated at Waterloo, which for me has current day significance, since that is when the Rothschilds enriched themselves on the lie that Napoleon had won the war. That's a well known story, at least as told in many circles. Assuming that to be an accurate quotation, I have to chuckle. War is indeed the business of barbarians, regardless of the time, past or present. It is the international bankers, aka House of Rothschild and their ilk, that finance both sides in most every war. I also chuckle because it was none other than Napoleon who sold the Louisiana Territories to the United States, also known as the Louisiana Purchase, to raise money for his wars in Europe. Oh, we, the people of the world, are still in the barbaric business of waging wars, overt or covert. Nothing really changes in whatever century we find ourselves. The lies and war games continue, with the US, Israel, and Wikipedia leading the charge. I added Wikipedia as a last thing because I looked up, I wanted to get a little bit more information on that. And Wikipedia says that the idea that the Rothschilds got advance information on the Battle of Waterloo is a myth. It's not true, which is why I threw Wikipedia in then, because Wikipedia is lies, and most of our media is lies. Most of our education system is lies. So I don't know. I can't verify anything about the French Revolution. That was if it had been waged outside of Europe, it would have probably been called a world war. But of course, it was just a European war. Many countries were involved: Russia, Germany, Italy, England, the Dutch. Everybody was in. All Europe was divided and fighting wars during that period in the 19th century, late 18th, early 19th century, the same period of time that the American Revolution, of course, occurred. Uh, that was an early thing of the war errors. That was when wars really became profitable. That's when the House of Rothschild was born. They were the international bankers who had five sons, and each of them was the head of a bank uh, somewhere in Europe and in the United States. And they continue even now in the 21st century. They continue to wage wars. Some of the wars are covert wars. That is, they're not out in the open with battlefields and generals. They're wars by polluting our air, by spying on us, putting cameras everywhere. And it's an onslaught against humanity where nothing can be private anymore. Everything is known. And it wouldn't be such a bad thing if the people that did the knowing or uncovering this were benevolent. If it was God who supposedly sees everything, well, if God was benevolent and not a warmonger, it would be okay. But the God of the Bible is a warmonger. When are we going to wake up? That God is not the loving God that many Christians were taught and many others. And even Islam was totally corrupted from the early stages of it, of the Quran, to the later stages. I mean, even in the life of uh, even in the life of, I forgot the guy's name, that Muhammad, of course. Uh, you know, we have been lied to, folks, and lies and war and the money game are all part of the great deception. They're the fall of human culture, not the advance of human culture. It's the fall of human culture. There are relics that we have dug up, and not even dug up. The pyramids themselves are impossible, virtually impossible to build today out of the materials that were used and are still found in the pyramids themselves. Now, of course, it varies where the pyramids, the material varies depending on where the pyramid is located. But I'm talking about the pyramids in Egypt at this point in time. But pyramids are found all over the world. I mean, we've been lied to about virtually everything, and war has always been the most profitable business for the liars. And the liars took over the legal profession and became lawyers. So, lawyer and liar, or more correctly, attorneys, which attorneys, they tie us up in knots. They make a false legal system. Again, it's all about money. It's war against freedom, war against the people, war against truth, war against any spirituality of loving one another. Because that's not, if we were to get along with each other, we wouldn't be fighting. We wouldn't be banging our heads against each other and doing insane things. There wouldn't be lack because we would be sharing with one another, and there would be no need for theft. There could still potentially be jealousy because we still have to grow up and realize that we don't own anybody, not even our children, and certainly not those that are our lovers. We don't own. It's free, and each individual that's playing the role has the freedom to choose whether to be in that role or not in that role. But in our world, freedom is being attacked. It's being stripped from humanity. And they're trying to make robots to replace human beings, in case you haven't noticed. Now, that could be a good thing also, because it would free us from a lot of the manual labor, but not all of it. Not all of it. There still has to be a mind and a body working together to do many things. Although repetitive tasks can be done by robots and effectively. So I'm not against robotics, but I am against the monetary system that lies to us about everything and infiltrates every aspect of human culture. We've got to stop that. It is the war against truth. It is the war against love. It is the war against decency. It is the war against humility. It is the war against everything that would uplift us, elevating humanity to a higher plateau of experiential existence. Will I ever see that? Will any of us ever see that? I get really frustrated. I have days when I want to throw in the towel. And then I have days when I seem to be rekindled again and be passionate about something. But this business of barbarians is the business of international bankers. They are the barbarians. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.